The interface of software exchange. Exchange works on the platform of digital data interchange, and it works like an email client in which B2B transactions are exchanged between the parties in a real time. So exchange having a multiple solution. So I would like to introduce first solution, Excel to Tally. This utility facilitates to import sales, purchase, general, payment and receipt entries into the Tally with a click of button. So this is our template file as per the GST compliance, in which I am explaining sales transactions, how sales transactions import into the Tally. So here the first column is voucher number. Voucher number is work like a serial number. Second column is voucher type. That means the sales ledgers which you created into the Tally. Third column is vouchers reference number. That means the invoice number. After that the column is date. That means the invoice date, and the format of date is year, month and date. After that the column is name. Name, that means the party name to whom you want to sell. After that the column is address, state, the country and the item name which you want to sell. If in case if you have a new items, new masters which are not created into the Tally, then whatever you input into this column, then this utility auto create the item masters into the Tally. No need to create manually. After that there is a column of go down name. Now the unit, after that quantity, rate and the GST number of the party as per the state. After that there is a column of amount calculated by the formula. Now I already told you this template file is ready as per the GST. So the tax type I am applying as per the GST, that is CGST, SGST and IGST, and in case if you have a discount then you also mention this. Now after filling the tax rate and the tax amount, these are some columns which are in blank. So these columns are, if not in use, then you have to set blank also. So after that there is a column of imported just created a log file. You just see I am just set n. By default I am setting n, that means that indicates that not imported, means these transactions are not imported into the Tally. When I click on import, then in place of n, y is reflect. Y shows that these transactions imported into the Tally. After that there is a column of HSN code. HSN code indicates the unique code of each and every item. After that there is column of item master IGST, means total tax of IGST, and in case if you have a narration, then you have to set the narration in as per the invoice. Then the setting is IGST applicables, so you have to set Y. And now after that the column is item description. Suppose if you have an additional description for the items, so you have to set the item descriptions. After that we are actually providing the voucher number columns. That means there are two types of setting into the Tally, whether voucher number is set as automatic or manual. So user if choose automatic, then they have to set n in this column, but if user set in manual, then they have to choose Y and enter the voucher number which they want to import into the Tally. After that there is a column of sales type. Sales type, that means the cell type. By default the type is sales, but as a user naming and conventions into the books of account is different. So whatever the sales type they maintain into the Tally, they have to set the cell type. So the transactions are import as per the cell type. After that there is a column of multiple sales ledger. That means in case if user takes an multiple sales ledger as per the item wise, then they have to choose to set the multiple ledger Y in this column and applying multiple sales ledger as per the item. Then the multiple sales ledger is applicable into the Tally. Now after that there is a column of GST registration type. So whatever the type, whether it is regular, consumer, unregistered, when I set into this column, then these are import into the Tally. So this is an overall file. Now I am opening the AccXchange software. You just see in left hand side, these are my companies, into which I am actually selecting the company Infotech Private Limited. This is my company which I want to import the transactions. So I'm opening the tally. You just see the company Infotech Private Limited is the same company which I added into the software. So there is a unique exchange ID code for each and every company. So the import utility is applicable as per the ID, exchange ID. So when I click on right click on the company menu, there is an option of import data from Excel. So we have a choice of selecting which vouchers, payment, receipt, purchase, sales, general, masters. So I am selecting sales vouchers. After that, I am selecting the file which I prepared into the background. You just see in bottom counter is running, means this shows that proper processing is there, and finally we got a message 6 vouchers imported successfully. When I click on OK, you just see in Excel file the column imported shows Y. Y indicates that all the transactions are import into the tally. I am showing into the tally how the transactions import. So these are the transactions which I import into the tally. So this utility saves lots of time and efforts. Now I would like to introduce our core solution of the exchange, that is E-Invoicing, that transmits sales invoice like emails, and customers can review and post these E-Invoicing at one click into the accounting software they use. So e-invoicing useful for businesses where sales of one concern become purchase of another system concern. So I'm showing how e-invoicing practically work. I'm assuming that Infotech Private Limited is the seller party. When I click on plus button, you just see these are my parties which I already created into the connection list, and I'm assuming that Syntax Private Limited is the buyer of the Infotech. So whenever an Infotech Private Limited created and sells invoice into the books of account, then they have a choice of selecting the desired date of period which they created the transactions into the tally. And when I click on fetch now, so you just see whatever the invoices they are created into the tally, these all are fetched into the software. So the connected party is Syntax Private Limited. When double click on this entry, you just see the entry is open. These are the invoice. After reviewing, when I click on send now, then this entry is sent to the buyer end, which are converted into as a purchase, and it shows green color. So you just see in the fifth tab of the software sent item, this indicates that when I color is green, then it indicates that seller sent the invoice and receiver received the invoice. So this is a part of seller end. Now I am explaining the buyer end. That means the buyer name is Syntax Private Limited. You just see in left hand side the color of the company is blue. That means whenever buyer receive an incoming e-invoices, then the color of the company is changed. When I click on double tab, then you just see I am just redirecting on the last tab of the software, that is a voucher inbox. So buyer having choice to open the invoice for reviewing, and after reviewing you just see this invoice is same which are shared by the seller end. Now buyer having a choice of selecting the purchase ledger as per their books of account. After that, you just see the first column item name of the party, that means the seller name, in-text 12, in-text 25 and 30. So the item name are different as per seller and buyer. So there is an option of mapping item. So buyer having a choice of selecting the item which they maintain into the books of account, and this mapping is one time, no need to do again and again. This mapping is saved for the next transactions. And suppose the item is new and they are not created into the books of account, then this invoicing e-invoicing features auto create the new items into the buyer's books. And when I click on post now, after post now you just see the entry is removed and this entry is created into the tally as a purchase. This is the purchase entry. This is the same entry which are shared by the seller and then converted into the purchase. Thus, e-invoicing ensures 100% invoice matching between suppliers and buyers, resulting auto-sync with GST. Now, I would like to introduce our add-on solution Excel to Excel. This is the interface of Excel to Excel that simplifies data import from one Excel to another having varied format. So it compiles data from any format of Excel to your desired format, which helps for filing to GSTN. Existing imports means we have an ready templates that are reusable for fields mapping. But if we want to map new fields, then select source file. Click on browse button and selecting the source file. After selecting the files, you just see select sheet. There are multiple sheets in the one file. Now click on fetch header. That shows the header which are created into the source file. After this, select target file. Click on browse button and select the target file. After that, again there is a select sheet option, means there are multiple sheets: receipt, payment, sales, purchase. Then selecting the appropriate file. After this, there in bottom there are two options: overwrite and append. Overwrite, that means that modify the existing records, and append means that created new record. After this, click on map fields. Map fields shows the next screen, and in this screen there is a choice of selecting the target file columns and selecting the source file column. So I am selecting the target file columns. I am selecting name, and source file column is party name, and click on map field. Then target name and source party name are mapped. After that, I am selecting HSN code, and in source file selecting HSN, and then map field. HSN code mapped. Now I am selecting GST number, then I am selecting GST number in source file and map field. So you just see in mapped column, name, HSN code and GST number are mapped. Now if you want to save the mapping, then there is an option of save mapping. So this mapping make in template, and these template are reusable for the next time. Now after that, click on import. After click on import, you got a message import successful. Okay. Now I am showing how the target files created a records. These are the file: target file name, GST number and the HSN code. Thank you.